Yo, what is going on, people? We are back again with another freaking live interview. And today we've got Ginger Trill, who I'm going to bring into the chat in a minute. But people, you know how it is. Before we begin, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you do hit that notification bell so you're notified each time I upload something new. And of course, don't forget to smash that like button. But yes, Mr. Ginger Trill, say what's up to the people.
Hey man, what's up? What's up, Madzie? What's up, everybody? What's up, subscribers? You guys good?
Come on now. So let's kick start off. Because obviously for me, I've always wondered, where did the name Ginger Trail come from?
Oh man. So I used to go by the name Gingerbread Man,
Yeah.
the Potchefstroom dope boy.
Uh-huh.
So that was my name. And like I opened my Twitter account, after like I got a chance to be on a platform outside of my city. So I opened my Twitter account and all my social media accounts like with this name,
Mm-hmm.
Gingerbread Man. But like I couldn't like pick that name because you'd get other things that would pop up if you searched the bread man. And the way I wrote it was different. It was like ginger space bread man, one word, but it wouldn't pick up. So my friends would call me Trilly now and then, or Trill, because I said that in some rhymes and whatever. So my handle became @ginger_Trill. I got verified on Twitter. I was like one of the first few artists, if not the first rapper in the country, to get verified on Twitter. And then that made like headlines, obviously it trended on social media and whatever. So that name sort of stuck. People would feature me and not ask me what's the artist's name. They would just write Ginger Trill. And we had like a bit of an identity crisis. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna stick with what, the mainstream knows me as.
Okay.
Pretty much. That's how it goes.
That's fair enough, man. And to be fair, I for me personally, I definitely prefer the name Ginger Trill only because when I first heard that name, I'd never heard it before. But when I heard Gingerbread Man, I was thinking, okay, I wonder where this name came from. It made me really think. But when I heard you change Ginger Trill, I was like, yeah, that one sounds a whole lot more dope. No one's got it.
That one was better. Yeah. Plus, it was like, I come up with these things from like my rhymes because even like the Potchefstroom, dope boy or dope man, or that's where it comes from. I'd say that in my rhymes, like, because I'm from, a province called Northwest and from a town called Potchefstroom. Okay. So I'd be like, I'm the I'd play on the Pillsbury dope boy and I say the Potchefstroom dope boy. Catch me if you can. And then that's how I became Gingerbread Man. But then I call myself Trill too. I'd be like, I'm the trillest in the city or whatever. And then, my friends would call me Trilly. And then it just sort of stuck, So then that's how I became Ginger Trill. And then I was like, oh, it's sort of like, it's a happy accident in a way, like, because the name is real unique too. Nobody has it. Like if you search that, definitely getting me if you're looking for a verified account. Exactly.
Listen, man, that's what I like about Ginger Trill, and nobody has it. It's easy to search, and only you come up, no one else but that. So
thank you, bro.
It was good that Faith took you to the right name.
Right? It's funny how things work out. They work
out
for the best.
Of course. But I mean, like, so what inspired you to be a rapper? Like, who was it? Like, or what was it?
I mean, dog, like I was always like surrounded by hip hop in some form or the other. So like when I was a kid, I'm the eldest of three. Yeah. But when I was a kid, like there was a cousin of mine who played like an older brother figure. Whenever I was around him, he was if he wasn't bumping Kwaito, he was bumping like some hip hop. So I was listening to Biggie, I was listening to Diddy, I was listening to Missy, Mace. Whatever was popping on radio and on TV at the time, I sort of like got to engage with that through him, and I figured he thinks this is cool, so I'm sure it got to be cool, and it just stuck. I was just drawn to it, to music, like to the art of rhyming, and I was probably like 8, 9 at the time.
Wow!
But then it wasn't until I was like 14. When I started rapping, peer pressure. I was influenced by my friends. They were like, come on, everybody was doing it. And then I tried and they were like, yo, you actually kind of dope. And then I fell just deeper into that rabbit hole.
Listen, man, it was a good rabbit hole. Good rabbit hole because it's taking you a long way, man. I mean,
happy endings.
you've traveled quite a bit, haven't you, for like doing performances and that? Like, whereabouts have you traveled to? 'Cause I'm pretty sure I saw you in somewhere in Europe at one point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, last year I had the privilege of traveling to Europe with some of the gangdom. It was like a collaboration of sorts between like two creative collectives here back home, like Cool Out Concepts and Dizzy Monks. And we were gonna do this Akio Bad in Yellow tour because like he'd been there before and whatever, so he was taking us on the road with him. So we ended up doing like the Scandinavian area, you know.
Yep.
We were in Oslo. Uh, we went to Stockholm, we went to Berlin, we went to Amsterdam too. So, you know, we got to perform at these different places, you know, and got to just like get a feel of how the crowd in Europe like accepts you. And it was kind of weird for me to like be out there because I'm so used to like, you know,
Yeah.
South Africa, like, you know, there's just plenty of us, you know. So when I was over there, it was like, oh snap, it would be like 99, maybe 98% white faces. You're not even sure if they can hear what you're saying, but like they vibing back real hard. Yeah, you know what I mean? But they vibing, man. They showing love. And a couple people will come after the show and show love. And we also got a chance to play with like some very dope people. I mean, in Berlin, we were doing the swag at Buddy House, man. You know, I mean, Swag Jam rather, with a band called The Swag at Buddy House. You know, some of these guys have played for like the likes of Erykah Badu, likes of 50 Cent, you know what I mean? So it was like, it was an eye-opening experience too, to get to travel like outside of my continent to do music, you know. It was like an eye-opener. I learned so much. I was like, man, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to see, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to conquer.
Right, but and it's crazy though because it's good that you've been there because I've been telling people for a while now and I say that you need to stop trying to aim for the American market. You should aim for the European because there's a few artists out here in the UK
True.
that I know who are not popping within like the charts or whatnot, but when they go away to like Czech Republic, Croatia, these guys get numbers because those I don't know what it is about Europe, but these guys in the Scandinavian areas they love the rap, man. They love people coming out from a different country and just giving them the vibe, man. So it's nice to know that you've been there, you've experienced it, and now you know that there's life in Europe. It doesn't have to be America, you know, because that conception needs to be removed from people's minds because honestly, obviously when you're in America, that's when I guess that's when your name's more in the lights. But when you're still making that money, doing your tours and stuff in Europe, that's what matters more. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're getting the bag, you're not getting wrong. You know?
Yeah, for real.
Listen, that I mean, is some dope stuff,
I feel the same way, man. It's just you know, coming from where I'm from, I know like you know, media has sort of like portrayed America as like if you can make it there, that's when you made it everywhere sort of like thing because that's where the lights are. But what people don't know, and this is something I didn't know too until recently, you know, that when you go out into the world, when you go to Europe, man, or you go to the UK, or you travel, you'll find that you know there's so many other ways to get your bag. There's so many other avenues to explore and like create a name for yourself and create a strong fan base and sort of like reach out to people, you know, and make new connections. It's not just, you don't just have to go that way. I mean, a lot of us have noticed just from like the grime scene has produced superstars who've had some African stars sort of reach out to them for the cosign. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You know, you've got the likes of like, you know, Burners doing songs with Georgia now. We see it, you know what I mean? And like people are trying to reach out to, WizKid got something with Skepta, you know, and you know what I mean? Everybody's looking at gigs too, like, oh, so people are trying to explore that scene because they know that, yo, man, there's so much more to this hip hop. It's not just in the USA, like you can go explore it in other places. Yeah.
I mean, and if anything, if you ask me, I feel like hip hop in America is probably at its weakest right now as well. You know, I feel like hip hop is stronger in other countries outside. You know, obviously you look at the UK, you look at South Africa, you look at even if you go to a place like Albania, you look at Croatia. This is where even South of America, you go to Argentina, Ecuador, all these places here right now. Hip hop is becoming a powerful language, you know, in all these communities. But people are still brainwashed to America's the place. But the thing is, America's the place you go for them to take your soul, you know, to become this person.
I've heard.
Listen, this is what I'm trying to say. That's why I'm telling people, you know, you got to be careful when you go over there, because but in their eyes, they don't want outsiders to come over there and look better than them, you know. That's why
they don't want that.
They don't want that. That's why that's why Davido. I always say to people, there's a reason why Davido came back home to make music at home, because he knew the market he needed was gonna be at home, and that's what he wasn't gonna be ate up alive. Because if he stayed in America, he knew that life wouldn't have been as blessed as it is now, you know. But hey, it is what it is, you know. It is what it is.
It is what it is, you know. It's not for the faint-hearted, I guess. And you know, but there's other places, there's other avenues, and there's other ways to get it. You know what I mean? I guess. But yeah.
Listen, that's what I'm talking about. But in terms of yourself, and in terms of obviously your journey, how long have you been in the game now?
I mean, my debut album dropped in 2012, bruv. In 2012, around, was it June, July, maybe August-ish, and that's when sort of like some of the key players in the game, you know, sort of took notice, and I passed my CD around. Obviously, I was trying to sell it because, like, you know, some of the music, my first music video just got played on like Channel O, which is like, you know, a music channel that's very popular here in South Africa. And then, you know, we got on to move to like, you know, MTV base. And then I got verified, you know, started getting like calls from like the big guns who were really running rap at the time, you know, the 2011, 12, 13 circa, you know, into like the 14, 15 circa, you know. It was sort of like a wave there that like caught on to my activity, and that's how I was ingested into the game. But like my debut dropped in 2012.
Okay, man. Say 7 years going, man. 7 years going.
Word.
Man. That's
yeah,
stuff,
I'm on
man.
my 5th project. Piff was like my 5th project, you know. But like I only dropped the debut album. I've never dropped a sophomore album.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You took a big leap in that one, man. I mean, so like, obviously, I'm sure you're always in your socials. You see what's happening, and people are always talking about. Not always, but sometimes people always like to say Ginger Trill is underrated, or some people say Ginger Trill is slept on. Now, I mean, what goes through your process when people say these things? Like, what do you think? Like, do you feel like you're underrated or you're slept on or whatnot? Like, because it's nice to know what you're thinking when you see these things.
I mean, to keep it a buck, you know, the human in you, even you know, I'm an artist and I'm a rapper, hard gang. I rap, you know, whatever I rap, and like I stand by what I stand by. But like, obviously, when you get like a lot of the same thing, you have to do like some sort of self-evaluation, and the human in me can't help but evaluate that and be like, man. So I'm guessing. You know, there's a level that you have to go past for people to not use words like underrated or under this or under that, you know, or whatever the case is, or slept on, you know, because that means that the people who riding for you actually see you, you know, higher up the ladder, because they're comparing you to other people's favorites, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as a human, you got to sit there and be like, oh man, that's what the people are saying. But I learned like through the years that you can't let it seep through. Well, for me personally, I don't know how other artists do it, but me, I sort of don't let it seep through the art, you know?
Yeah.
I'm still like, okay, the numbers come back and you're like, all right, we did better than the last time. That's pretty dope. We get this, we're growing. For me, all I've seen is growth every year, and I can't help it. Be grateful, but we all know where the benchmark is at, and people just want their faves to go past that or to be that benchmark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man. I completely understand that, man. But I do think sometimes when people think about who is underrated potentially, or who he slept on, I think sometimes people say these things based on who they possibly hear the most on radio, or maybe who they see the most on TV, and don't really think about everyone that's actually in the game that maybe doesn't get as much airtime, you know. Because obviously, I feel like if people kind of separate the two, you know, and then we look at everyone who doesn't necessarily always get exposure, everyone that's independent and whatnot. If we look at them, I think that's when people should really evaluate: is this person really underrated, or is this person really getting the clout that they deserve? You see what I'm saying? So I feel like there's levels to it, you know. But those are levels that people don't consider. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I'm not being funny. If you're someone that's generally always played on radio all the time or and TV all the time, of course you're gonna look like as if you're rated, and if you're not played all the time, you're gonna look like as if you're underrated. But at the same time, if you're still got gigs all the time, you know, you're still obviously, you know, making music and whatnot. Clearly, it means that your vibe is still there. You've still got those core fans who are following you to wherever, from city to city. Anyway, this therefore means you can't necessarily be slept on or underrated. It's just that these people who are fixated to TV only and radio only, what they're not doing is choosing to search Ginger Trill. Okay, where is he going to be on this date? Okay, do you know what I mean? Let's quickly check his Twitter page. Has he dropped any new dates for when he's going to be, you know, doing a gig here or dropping a song here? You know, so I think sometimes people forget their lazy mind doesn't allow them to really explore how to really, you know, still be in touch with artists, you know?
You can't even, man, I get you 100%. And for me as an artist, I'm like, it's hard to even point at the fans and be like, but, you know, you guys should be buying this more or whatever. All the fans, you know, the people who discover your music, who ride for it, are probably the ones who actually like got their, you know, their notifications set, you know? But the separation comes between like mainstream success, which not a lot of local rappers enjoy, you know, in terms of like radio play or TV play or whatever the case is, to get onto some of the biggest radio stations in the country. You know, it takes it takes so much. You know, there's just so much that has to go on behind the scenes. So many things have to be, you know, put together that people are like, you know, okay. That's why the kids are like, we're moving this internet way. You know, we're gonna get it the internet way, and we're gonna do things like rogues. And in a way, I can't even be mad at that too, because I feel like that opens up the industry, and you have to think about, you know, the road you are paving as well. Like, are you making it smoother for the guy who's coming behind you? And for me, I'm like, man, maybe it takes this generation and our challenges and our struggles to make the road smoother for the generation that's to come after, or whatever the case is. And we got to boss up in other ways, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? For me, I'm just looking at the game like, it changes quick. It's changing. It's ever evolving with the internet age and whatever. So the space on these popular charts can only host so many. Not even like the top 10 rappers, maybe not even the top 20 rappers, let's say, in the country enjoy that space as much as they should. And the further down maybe you go, the more people are like, man, something is up, man. This guy's, you know, why is that guy slept on? Why is that guy slept on? And sometimes when the crowd screams loud enough, you know, you get cases of, you know, people coming out from the underground and just booming on the indie vibe, you know, like A-REECE or like Hash, or, you know, people who didn't really check for TV and radio, who didn't even answer the call anymore when they were popping in our radio, and then wanted to get back on the jog. They just kept it moving because they know where the source really be. You know, like, it's the content. It's like, yo, as long as I got this guy who's creating this for me and I'm doing this, you're not gonna stop us, because we're gonna give the kids what made them love us. You know, also that can help you break through.
100%.
You know,
100%, man. No, I completely hear that, man. I completely hear that. So,
for real.
Moving forward, when
sir.
Do you have any visuals planned to come out, or anything musical coming out, or any tours?
Oh man, I was talking to my man Top Gog actually, and I was talking to my man Motion Billy. I don't know if you know a director. DOP by the name of Motion Billy. He produces quite a lot of dope videos, you know, like Nalingi, that popped off by Manuel Star. He did Show Up by A-REECE, you know. He did something for Patrick Lee. He's done something for everybody. He also did my video Money. So we were speaking about Piff, and we've been speaking about Piff before Piff dropped. So he's coming in next week We're gonna get some of these ideas out of the way, shoot like some visuals, and like see what else we're gonna do. You know, working with other kids, making like remixes to this and that. We're gonna get some content out. You know, and also, you know, I dropped like 2 tapes in the space of 2 months. Barely, it was not even 2 full months, because one was a joint EP with my man Top Gog, and the one was Piff. So this Top and Trill EP with my man Top Gog, we're also dropping a video from that, for a song called Bonafide. We're dropping that next week. And then I'm gonna shoot some stuff for Piff and just keep it moving, and then submit it to wherever I submit it, and let the streets know where we at.
100%, man. I'm looking forward to it. Especially the one with your boy as well, because I don't think I've listened to him before. So I'm looking forward to that for sure, man. To see what he's like, what he's bringing to the table. Yeah,
low key, the streets also sleeping on the fact that I did 2 projects in the space of 2 months. On the 23rd of May, we dropped Top and Trill, Tales of the High and Mighty, and then on the 2nd of August, me and Tasso Explosives dropped Piff. You know, Paid in Full.
Yeah.
You know, the soundtrack, movie music, and the streets bugged out off of that. But I don't know if they would have been aware of that if I hadn't dropped music just before that, because I hadn't dropped a full body of work since 2017.
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
Wow.
So I came back swinging. I dropped 1 single, you know, and it took off, Money, in 2018.
Yeah, I remember
but
that
I didn't drop a full. Yeah, and then I dropped Let Me Know. I dropped another song, Solve the Problem. I Got It. But I dropped like 3 singles in 2018. This year, there's so much music that I dropped, you know?
Wow.
So, yeah, we're going to be dropping a lot of videos, bro.
I mean, is there a reason why, like, a lot of artists in SA, it's obviously from where I am, it seems like a lot of artists always drop songs quite far apart. Is there a reason why people do that?
I mean, sometimes, you know, cats just be looking at like how long they've been in the game, and looking at their projects and looking at the amount of work they've put out. For cats like, you know, for a cat like, you know, a -- guy in the country, or number 2, number 3. Let's talk about the top 5. Somebody like Questa. You know, he's got like an album that has gone like 5 times platinum. You know what I mean? You know, somebody like AKA doing double, triple, you know, digits. Somebody like Casper doing triple platinum on his debut, you know, selling out a stadium on his sophomore, you know, and going gold in a day. So it's like he's got 3 albums under his belt.
Yeah.
It's a 4? It's 4 now.
With one coming up, isn't it? He's got another one coming up, isn't it? Which is going to be number 4, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be number 4. I mean, it's sort of too dope to feel it. And now he's got 4 albums. He dropped...
sorry. So you're talking about Casper. Sorry, I was thinking about AKA. I'm not going to lie. Sorry.
AKA. Yeah, I mean, AKA got short and sweet too. But for a guy like him he's only got 4 albums, but he has to space them. If he drops every year from the time that he popped off, like 2014, you know, and then you get a guy like Reece, who's like the now, who dropped Paradise. When did Paradise drop? What was that?
I think it's 2017 or 2016.
2017, right?
Yeah.
And after the label dropped him, he felt like, okay, I'm finna change the game, because he has so much material. At the label, you'll be held back. Like, you gotta drop the album. We're gonna roll it out like this. We're gonna roll. So when you're doing the album way, you're gonna take some time dropping stuff, because a highly placed artist, or like a chart-topping artist like AKA, when he drops an album, he'll have like 7 singles from that album, and like 4 or 5, maybe 6 of them will go platinum, you know? So he doesn't need to drop music every month. Whereas the indie kids, you know, the label is not checking like, yo, let's maximize one body of work. He's just going wild. Like, people low-key don't know that actually if the numbers come back, this song might be going gold, and that song might be going gold, you know, or whatever the case is. You know, when the numbers come back from his aggregator, yo, we're talking hundreds of thousands or whatever, but people don't see it because, you know, or they don't know those numbers, because some of these kids are smart too. They know where the game is at. They know that, when such information is out there, that's when like people can peep game, and the ones who want to close in on you are going to close in on you. Let's say you were shaking off a label or whatever, and you're doing some shit for survival. But really, it's gotten people to a place where like the kids can drop more frequently, but artists who are established, they drop like in between. Now, somebody like me, I've been in the game 7 years, right?
Yep.
And I've dropped like 5 projects. And even then, I had to space them. The first one was 2012. And then I was rolling out the singles up until 2013. 2014, I got a deal with Sony. And then I did some singles. They wanted to try out some new singles. And then in 2015, I was like, no, that's been too long. But plus I was popping with the features and whatever. I had done so many features with like the really big artists, some of the most monumental features in the country, in the landscape of hip hop. And then I was like, no, I'm dropping my second project. 2016, I fell out with my indie label, and then Sony wasn't involved anymore because that's how I got the deal.
Okay.
And now 2017 comes and I drop a third project. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is solo. And then I move on. 2018, I dropped 2 singles. 1 gets on the ground. 2017, I'm like, I gotta drop 2. That's how you get to 5. That's how I got to 5 projects. It's still a lot under the belt when you look at some, like a lot of the guys who are out here who are actually hella popping off. For me, I always liked the idea of dropping like a lot more. But I've been independent since like late 2016, you know? So 2017, 18, 19 is like 3 years in. I'm like, okay, I got 3 projects under it's 3 years of independence, 3 projects under my belt. It's like, But somebody who's like going hard at it and new is gonna go hard for a little bit. And when things really go through the roof, then they'll start like, okay, if I focus on one album, I actually have a shot of going actual gold and getting a REECE plaque. And that means I can charge more, that means I could get a bigger bag. That means, when my name is mentioned and considered for awards, I get preferential treatment there too. You understand what I'm saying? So It's like the people who are dropping few and far between, usually their projects have to be really like stretched out. Like the rollout has to be good. They already know the single, the leading single, and the follow-up single, and they're gonna see what the crowd wants, and they're gonna shoot that. You know what I mean? But guys who are in the street and who are indie, they'll go hard until they get the amount of respect or the type of bag that they want.
I hear that. But the thing is, it wasn't necessarily like the album necessarily. It's just that I see some people, they'll come out of nowhere. They'll drop a single and then they'll go quiet for a couple months, not even a couple months, like near enough a year, and then drop the visual for the single that they dropped basically a year ago. And I just don't understand that. It's like, because the thing is, in the UK, where I'm at, and even if you look at the USA, for example, if you was to go, how can I give you? For example, if you were to go into Jay-Z's, no Jay-Z, no. Let's say someone like J. Cole. If he was going on YouTube page, for example, he'll drop an audio. Literally 2 or 3 days later, a week max, the visuals out. Sometimes people will drop it. Like, I mean, who was it? Because I feel like Shane Eagle kind of got the graft of how you do things, because before he dropped Yellow, he drops 2 visuals. And then Yellow came out, and the 2 videos he dropped as well, Need Me and what's that one? Need Me.
Let It Flow.
Yeah, Let It Flow. Yeah. So he dropped those 2 literally within a space of a week or 2 weeks together, and then literally Yellow came out the week after or whatnot. See, and that method is what I'm used to, because literally it's like, for example, the music scene has yourself in South Africa. There's a lot of artists. So in the UK, there's a lot of artists as well as America. So what happens is, if a UK artist drops an audio, but to be fair, in the UK, people rarely drop audios. But when they drop an audio, best believe the video's coming out a week later, 2 weeks max. Yeah, Same thing in America.
Max, I've seen.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, in SA now, I'm seeing artists, they're dropping audios, and then I'm waiting months for a visual. And the thing is that when you wait months for a visual, that song, you'd have been bored of it by now. You'd have moved on from it by now, because every single day someone is dropping something. You see what I'm saying?
True.
So you gotta keep that heat that flame, you know, high. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't know why a lot of people do that. And another thing is always that some of the people who I've spoken in the past, you know, via interviews and whatnot, they'll say to me, yeah, this year's my year, or next year's gonna be the year. I'm dropping this, and that. And then the year comes and they drop one audio and then one visual, and then that's it. It's gone dead. And then all of a sudden they'll come back a year and say, yeah, I'm dropping a project this year. But I'm like, but what's the point? You've already killed your own hype. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand why that's such a thing. I say this obviously when you talk about the people, that the top 5 people, you talk about the Questas and the Caspers, Narcis, the AKAs. Obviously, I've always said to people that there's a reason why these guys are where they are at. It's because all of them, the same, even Empty back when he was ambitious, the one thing that they all had in common was if they dropped an audio, that visual was dropping at least a week after, and that's how you're supposed to do it, and that's how people stay in touch with what you're doing, and then the album comes out. But everybody else that's not a part of that top 5, majority of them will not do that philosophy, and it's such a basic one, you know. And I always say to people, if it's a case of where maybe you can't afford a visual or whatever, some people tell me some all different reasons in it. But the thing is, I always say to people that, well, don't drop an audio if you haven't got the visual prepared. Then at least, you know, do things. Be patient. I mean, be patient with your craft. Don't try and bombard it. You know, if you can't do it in one hit, then don't do it at all. Wait for that moment.
Don't do it.
You know what I mean? Because
you gotta plan.
Exactly.
It's 90% planning.
Exactly. Because if you drop a song today and then you don't drop a visual a week later, trust me, someone else has already dropped a new song with a visual before you, and then your hype is done. You know. So
it's gone, just like that.
And these are fundamentals of being an artist. You know. And I don't understand why people are not using these tools. You know.
For real,
it's a madness. I mean, I'm assuming you watch the podcast, right?
I do. Every time, you know, once a week I catch up with all the stuff that they've dropped. I think the last time I checked it out was like episode 6 or something. Is it 6? I
couldn't even tell you which episode it's.
But yeah, I do watch the podcast. I do watch the podcast from.
I think it was Speedstar a few weeks back. He said, I forgot what he said now. He said something that was actually quite. That's it. He said that basically the other problem that we have in SA is that you have some artists who will drop a song, get a little bit of clout from it, get a little bit of money for it, and then after that they just chill. I'm like, but why are you chilling then? You know what I mean? Like, I think too many people are happy with the small bag, and I think when it comes to music, you should, in my opinion, you should never be happy with just the basic bag. You should be, especially if you're talented, if you know and you're confident in your talent, and you know you're bringing in hits or you're bringing in lyrical stuff, right? You should be able to use your talent to gain more and more bags. Even if you were to gain 10 small bags, at least that's something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But if you're just bringing in one small bag and you're like, yeah, I'm happy, I'm good for a couple of months, that's how you go in debt. And that's why people, I don't know what lady it was, but there's a lady that said that she can't even buy a house in SA because of how how it works. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't Cosmo. It was another lady I saw. I saw her in an interview with MT and Pretty Ugly on this RGB YouTube page, and she talked about how you know, she was with a label, whatever, but she couldn't even buy a house. You know, and this is the thing. You know, to keep the money consistent, you gotta consistently do things. You know, you can't just sit back and relax. Another thing as well, people need to understand is that you will lose your core fans eventually if you don't feed them. You know, you gotta feed them. You know,
you gotta feed them.
Exactly, and I always say to people, there's a reason why Drake is where he's at. When Lil Wayne was about to go into rehab, obviously Drake was touring with Lil Wayne. Drake then obviously took over Lil Wayne's fans, and since then Drake has always fed them. He's never stopped feeding them, and that's why Lil Wayne fans
never stopped.
Exactly, and that's why Lil Wayne fans are giving him more love than they do with the original guy, because Lil Wayne went quiet for too long. Obviously now when he comes in, his hype isn't as strong as it was before, and this is what happens. You gotta feed your fans, and the more you feed them, the more you grow and the more your fan base grows, you know. But I don't know, man. I just know that
that's the true thing.
The fundamentals I see, they bother me. But go on, sorry, bro. Go on.
I mean, for real, like, I agree with everything you're saying. And I think an issue here locally is, like, you know, hip hop, man. It's sort of like the music industry is sort of gate kept. It's gate kept 100%. Because I'm guessing there's a lot of skrill in it, you know. So, you know, and people are on the limit pill, you know, like there's not enough to go around. So then that creates a climate whereby a lot of the really dope talent that comes in, like coming in back door, like they're coming in from the underground. They get a cosign from like a respected voice within the culture, or they get a dap from like somebody who's on and popping. You know what I mean? The same way like when Nasty says, "Oh man, this kid Hash, I'd do a feature with him. He's nice." And that's somebody, Nasty's not somebody who does those things willy-nilly, you know what I mean? And then the whole streets just bug out. And just like that, you've got a kid who's in the game, but when they don't know the business of the music, that's when that's when sustainability becomes an issue. Sustainability enough to make it like a thing of them being like successful musical businesses for longer periods of time. You know, longevity becomes like compromised in those kinds of situations, because some of these guys, I mean, even Reese, when he left the label he was with, I'm sure like he had seen a bit of the business, not all of it yet. You know what I mean? He hadn't gotten like to understand everything. He had to adjust quickly and adapt quickly. And he's one of the most fortunate ones. You know, he's a bright guy. He surrounded himself with the right people, and they managed to keep the buzz coming off the label, something that was supposed to slow down his trajectory and like the amount of content he could put out at a time. He just started pushing from there, and now things have taken a life of their own. And after that, everything is about putting, like when the business is like in the hundreds of thousands, bruv, you know, you got to learn how to put back in it. That's the only way it'll get to the millions, I guess. You know, that's how you get stories like Nasty C, you know. Before he was ingested into a major label system, this guy was actually running this thing independent. And then he got major. And then because he was still like semi-independent, when he's traveling, he's also traveling as a CEO. He's checking things out. He's learning. He's adapting quickly. But like I said, sometimes it's an issue of being surrounded by the correct people, man. There's, you know, there's an element of like the size of your industry also that plays a part, like how quickly the game flushes talent in and out. You know, some people survive the big wave flush out, and not all of us make it through that. You know what I mean? And it's just an unfortunate thing. But the more we speak about these things, like I say, we are making the road smoother for these kids who are listening. Like, oh yeah, you know, snap. So if I want to take it this far, I need to watch out for this and that and this and that, because I've seen the kids before me, and you know, they were here one year, gone the next. You know, so I think that's what'll wake them up to like what's going on, and the fact that it's real, man. And you know, it's a music business. You know, it's not just you're competing with other indies and major labels for the space. So you have to be on your A game all the time. You got to treat it like a business. You have to take it very seriously.
100%, man. Hands freaking down, man. It's absolute madness. But so at this current time, if there was anyone who you haven't collaborated with yet in South Africa, you know, who would it be? And even international as well, who would it be?
Oh man, a record with like Davido, with like Nasty on the hook. Oh my gosh, you know, Nasty on the beat. You know, a record with like AKA produced by Gemini is a dream feature. You know, with a little a little backing vocals by you know, somebody as crazy as I love Tembisiete, you know what I mean? You know, I'd love to work with somebody like, you know, get Wizkid and Casper on a record. Man. You know what I mean? I'd love to work with Tebe and Cooley. I've worked with Cooley before, but like Tebe and Cooley and somebody insane like Patoran King for like a summer smash. You know, stuff like that. There's a lot of guys I haven't worked with, but there's also a lot of guys I've worked with. But those guys I just mentioned, I don't think I've ever worked with them, with the exception of Cooley. We actually just called me for something the other day, and I'm so excited about it, actually.
That's fantastic, man. But that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing I like about people like Cooley, man. You know, he's someone that's been in the game for a while, and he's still trying to make music with other people that may not be, you know, to a certain stardom, whatever. Because I feel like when it comes to politics and in music itself worldwide, you know, some people are just too picky about who they want to make collab with, you know. Because let's be honest, I feel like you're definitely at that stage now where you should be able to make a phone call to a Nasty or even a Cap or whatever and be like, yo, let's do something, man. We need to cook something soon. Yeah. I'm hungry. Let's go, you know?
I mean, you know, I feel that way too. I just don't have them on my phone. I just don't have their numbers.
Yeah, I know,
so
man.
I don't know. I don't know how it work out. But I feel like, you know, somebody like Cooley, he's like an OG, you know. So yeah, he's and also he's such a superstar that Cooley can reach out to like the biggest artists in Africa and also reach out to the most underground guy and give him a shot. And he's always done that because I feel like he feels like he's carrying on tradition. That's the hip hop way. That's like the spirit of hip hop. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like he'll put on somebody like Naughty on a record, and then boom, a couple months later, the whole country knows him. He'll put on somebody like Madlera on a record. Boom, a couple months later, the whole country is talking about Madlera Dope Boy. He's just that kind of guy. He'll give AKA that feature, and then boom, next year everybody's talking, and then he'll put you on his stage with like 15, 20,000 people at Mufftown Heights, because that's what he does. Like he brings the game together. He puts this thing together. You know, he gave A-REECE his cosign. He was one of the first OGs to cosign on Reese. So he's that kind of guy. He's been in the game so long. He's so comfortable with being a king that he doesn't worry about, you know, racing to be the king. No, he just acts like a king should act. He puts on the youngsters, and sometimes he brings bread with the OGs, you know?
Sorry, I like what you said there. He acts like a king. You see, this is the... But this, and I'm going to tell you what you're saying, why it's so important you said that, because there's people in the world who self-claim themselves as a king, and then there's people who actually act like a king, you know what I'm saying? And this is the thing, you know? This is the thing that I like about Cooley Chana, you know. He obviously gives himself that persona of him being a king. He doesn't tell us he's a king, he just does it, you know. And we've got certain people, I won't say no names, but I know some of these people get them in the chat, but then you got certain people who want to call themselves a king, but then you look at their movements and I'm thinking, but what are you actually doing for the community itself to be a king? Like, you could be a king maybe because you're hitting the charts, you can be a king maybe because people are screaming your name, or you're filling up this or whatever, but what are you doing? But a king isn't someone that just sits atop. A king is someone that provides for the family, and that's what Cooley Chan does. He's providing to the hip-hop family, same as a Slicker, you know, always trying to do something to provide to the hip-hop family. So these guys here are the kings. Everyone else is trying to say that I'm the king. You ain't no king. You're still that peasant. You know what I'm saying? Because you're telling me you're a king, but you're not showing me you're a king. You know what I'm saying?
You're not showing me.
Exactly. So that's why, listen, man, all I can say really until now is that I need to get Cooley Chan to shout my name out, and then I made it. You get me?
I'll call the OG about it.
Listen, that's what I need now, man. It makes sense, but it's nice though. It's nice that Cooley Chan does these things. It's a good thing that obviously you've had the privilege of working with him, you know, and it's a massive thing. But I mean, for me personally, I feel like when it comes to you yourself, for me, I like your music, you know. I love the vibe. I like what you bring to the table, you know.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Listen, I just wish like people wouldn't be so stuck onto the commercial, you know, artist, or people wouldn't be stuck to hearing who they hear on radio. And people really should just invest their time sometimes and look out, and then just go on. It's not hard for people to go on Twitter and say, "Yo, let's check out Ginger Trill. Yo, let's check out Peter O. Or let's check."
Real,
you know what I mean? Just go with. Let's just see what they're doing.
Game, you know
what I mean? Just
the DJs,
exactly. Do you know what I mean? Because and the thing is as well, I think sometimes, you know, if we look at someone like A-REECE, he's someone that was ambitious, but since then he hasn't been there for a hot minute. But people have found it easy to follow his career since he's left. So why can't people follow other people as well, you know, who have been in the game and have been killing it just as much, you know what I'm saying? So end of the day, man, I just think that people need to start open their eyes in a more flexible way rather than in a more tunnel vision way. Because this tunnel vision way of commercial music, it needs to stop. You know, because I say this to people all the time, the talent in music worldwide is unbelievable. But when you're in your own country, you need to really invest in finding out who is talented in your country, because if you can do that, you're helping your country grow within the musical world. When it comes, obviously there's levels of music with everyone, but then there's levels of music when it comes to building your country to be that country to be known as that's the place. Like, for example, in Africa, people say, yeah, everybody knows that SA is the place of hip hop, but that's just Africa. You know, Africa's a big continent, but that's just Africa. And let's be honest, there's not a lot of hip hop going in Africa happening in Africa anyway. So it's not like you guys have competitors. So it's now to the stage where we should get the people to be like, okay, we've got Africa. In Africa, we're big, but now we now need to let Europe know that we're coming. We now need to know the States know that we're coming, that we are now a country added, because when we talk hip hop, the two countries that are only spoken about the most is England and the USA, you know, but we now need another country to come in. You know what I mean? So we want people to think, okay, we know we've got it from you, we know we got it from the UK, we know we got it from America, but what about Africa? You know what I mean? Or what about Japan? You know what I mean? So I think the only way it happens is if people start to invest in their local talent, you know what I'm saying? And it is deep, man, but that's what people have to do, because I feel like people who are fans of the commercial tracks are also people who only still follow people from America or the UK, but won't actually take time to follow their own, you know? And their own is and the thing is, their own talent will always speak about things that are actually true to them, relate to them, you know what I mean? Because if you're listening to someone, you know what I mean? It's more relatable, but people are just so brainwashed. It's a madness. It's an absolute madness, you know?
I mean, mass media brainwashes, you know, mainstream, you know, that mainstream way of thinking is also very brainwashing. Like, but when you actually peep, you know, if you actually woke to these things, you know, these cultural things and nuances, underground is where it's wavy. It's where you find the wave. That's where the splish splash at. That's where the drip is at for me. So I don't understand, like why is it only in our country where we, you know, and the indie vibes, man. Even A-REECE said it, like the indie vibes. We're making that indie music, baby. It's not like tied or tagged to like the way it should be in order for it to be sold on like the big platforms, the big media broadcasts or whatever. They end up hopping onto his wave because the streets is just co-signing like, yay, that's what the hell we want to listen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? There's also that. We just need the space to grow, I think, and not in South Africa, but like in Africa. Like, we shouldn't have South African hip hop. We should have African hip hop, and that way we can go to the world, because keep it a buck. They've always tried to divide Africa, you know, and we brainwashed to sort of like also be divided in Africa. But if us people in hip hop, because that means we come together for one thing. If us, the people who were brought together by this one thing, could just sort of like and stick together, it'll be easier to penetrate the rest of the world. And like the legacy we'll leave behind for the next generation is going to be crazy when we get together to do such things, I think.
No, listen, I completely agree, mate. I completely agree, you know. And to be fair, if you're moving as a continent, people would have to listen to you, you know. And the thing is, as well, just to get a little bit deeper on what you're saying there about, you know, about how they like to divide Africa. The other thing that people don't understand is that if you have too many black people on the same side, the world is scared. And that's the real deepness behind it, because the world knows that we was the first man on this planet purely because the first continent on this planet was Africa. But therefore, there is no way the first man could have been white. You know what I'm saying? So people know that we do have some deep education here. They do know that we can be very unstoppable. You look at someone like Malcolm X. This guy was able to march a whole army with the space of one or two words. And this is the powerful powerness of a black person. And the thing is that the other race, they know this, which is why they want us to be divided within Africa. You know, we don't divide ourselves because we want to. We divide ourselves because we've been brainwashed to be like that. It's just that simple, you know. And it's sad because the worst thing is sometimes we'll talk about, you know, this black person did this to me. No. Sometimes we'll say, oh, we're like this because of white man, but it's not necessarily because of the white man. We're like this because we are finding it hard to accept that we can actually work as a team, but we're refusing to, because what happens is the white man will give us a proposition, and because we're so greedy, we'll be like, you know what, we'll screw our own people for that proposition. Just like I'm saying, but really and truly, if we start together, listen, black people would be a force. And I'm telling you, like I said before, if the African continent came together to make music together, listen, we would be a force to be reckoned with. America would not touch us. Wouldn't touch us. No continent would touch us at all. I'm telling you now. But hey, but that's just level to life, and those are things that I guess just won't happen in this timeline, at least anyway. But the only thing that we can do is exactly what I'm trying to do now, and the only thing we can do right now is just build on what we have and just help it grow to whatever extent that we can do, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I mean, right now, I'm currently working on an EP. Obviously, I'm not me, because I don't rap. I wouldn't go in music like that. But what I'm doing right now is doing a compilation. Yeah. So what I'm doing right now, I'm recruiting. Well, I've advertised already on YouTube. You know, I'm recruiting about 4 to 8 different artists. You know, who are either upcoming or maybe slept or whatever. And then I'm obviously I'm then gonna drop it on my SoundCloud, which I'm in the moment. I'm trying to grow. I'm waiting for it to grow to at least about 500 followers. Once it grows to that, I'm then gonna drop an EP with all the different artists, and then after that we're gonna push it. Because I've spoke to a few little, I've spoke to like one radio station estate anyway who's gonna want to push it, hopefully. So you know, and it's a new door that I'm trying to open for us Africans to use to get into the game even more, because I know if you try and get into the game via a label in Africa, you can forget about it, because no label in Africa is loyal. They're all trying to take your money, you know. And if you try and push to the top with the people already up there, they'll probably find a way to belittle you anyway. So I'm just trying to create that safe passage. You know what I mean? So yeah,
that's what it needs, man. Yo. And for me, I think it's pretty dope that you're actually reaching out and using your platform to actually contribute something bigger than yourself to the culture. Facts. You know, and that's exactly why we fuck with you, my dude. So that's dope. I appreciate it, man. I
appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, but at the same time, I'm too humble to acknowledge it. I won't lie to you. I mean, sometimes I get people telling me, yo, bro, you're big in the streets. And I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
I know what you mean.
I was talking to one guy yesterday, and he was telling me that when I come to SA, I need to come with some bodyguards, because that's how big I am. And I was like, bro, calm down. It's not that deep, man. Calm down. When I come to SA, I'm going to come alone. I'll walk the streets casually.
You got love, man. You got love. The people will show you love, man. We appreciate what you're doing and how you're contributing towards this here thing of ours, dog.
I appreciate it.
For real.
I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Most importantly, man,
I put on.
Listen, I appreciate you for giving me your time, giving obviously the viewers your time for today.
Thank you for the put on, dog.
Listen, mate, for me, I am the one that's privileged. You know what I'm saying? It's not the other way around.
I appreciate that, but I know, man. I know what's going on in the streets. You know what I mean? I'm shaking it out. So shout out to you, man. Thank you for putting me on the platform. Shout out to all the listeners for giving me the time and hearing out my stories, and for chopping it up with the dude. I really 100%. Appreciate it, Madzie, for real.
No worries, man. I mean, is there anything you want to tell the people before you go? Like any upcoming stuff again to remind them, your socials? Just tell them, sell yourself, bro. Sell yourself. 1 minute of fame.
It's the boy at Ginger_Trill, man. Follow me on all social media platforms. On Twitter, it's at Ginger_TRILL at GingerTrill. Also on Instagram, follow me at Ginger_Trill, and on Facebook, it's Ginger Trilly, one word. Check out my project called PIF. Search that on your Apple Music, on your Google Play, on your Deezer. Coming soon to your Jukes, man. Check out Tales of the High and Mighty, myself, Top and Trill, and also keep an eye out on my YouTube. I'm gonna be dropping these visuals from this gang music we just dropped. So, thank you.
And I look forward to that. People, make sure you hit up the boy on all freaking socials, man. Don't waste time. Go subscribe to his channel. Don't waste time. Don't sleep on yourself. Okay, people, we talk about sleeping on artists, but let's not sleep on yourself. Open your, make your musical playlist bigger, man. Add what you
For real.
can that involves obviously Ginger Trill himself. Come on, guys, he deserves to
Hey.
be heard, man. He's always got a good story to
Hey.
tell. His lyrics are always top of the charts. He never fails. Come on, guys, man. Let's show some love. But listen, people, man, apart from that, thank you so much for coming out today. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like button, comment down below, people, and share the video to all your friends and let them know that Ginger Trill was here today and he done the damn thing. Peace.